Jai Hind everyone, my name is Aman Gupta and I am working here as an assistant professor in MCA department. We are going to discuss cyber security. Subject code is KCA A01 and today is our third lecture. So today we are going to discuss following topics, that is information security and what is the need of information security. What are vulnerability, threat and attacks? What is security attack and what is the role of attacks in information security? What are passive and active attacks? What is the benefit of ISMS, intrusion detection system, and what is information assurance? So let's start with information security. First of all, what is information security? So information is an important part of an organization or a business that requires more attention to preserve its integrity, privacy and availability. Integrity means that the data or information when transferred from one person to another, then that data should not be altered or modified and maintain its privacy. And when a user requires that data, then it should be available in its correct format. Information security refers to the protection of information, to protect the information from attacks, that is passive attack, active attacks, any type of attacks. It is the process of securing, protecting and safeguarding your information from unauthorized access, use and modification. So we can define information security as the process of protecting information from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, destruction, modification or disruption. So the protection of computer systems and information from harm, theft and unauthorized use. So how can we protect our information and from whom we have to protect our information? From any type of theft, harm or unauthorized access. And protecting the confidentiality, integrity and availability of information. Information security is an essential infrastructure technology to achieve successful information-based society. Highly information-based company without information security will lose competitiveness. As nowadays there is a this is a word of competition. So information-based company requires a very high security alert, high security information system. Now, what are the goals of information security? The main goals of information security are confidentiality, integrity and availability. So, first of all, what is confidentiality? Process of securing information from unauthorized access. Only an authorized person can access the network resources to get the valuable information provided on the network. For example, credit card transaction, debit card transaction or online, any type of online transaction in which money involves. The second one is integrity. Integrity refers to the accuracy of information or data. That is, in other words, securing the information from unauthorized modification. If an information is passes through a person A to person B, then the information or the message that passed from one person to another should not be modified or altered. The same message which is sent through A is received by the user B. Third one is availability. Information must be available when it is needed. The information, when a user or admin requires the information, then it is available to use in its correct format. Now, what is the role of security in internet and web services? Internet is used for performing various tasks such as exchanging data and information as well as conducting online shopping and bank transactions. All critical information needs to be secured against unauthorized access from illegal and malicious sources. Security is implemented in a website through authentication and authorization. Means who can access the website, who have the particular rights to access the website, who can make changes in a website. So it is based on the authentication and authorization. Web services allow a website to communicate with other websites. So web services are what? These are the channel, intermediate channel, which allows a website to communicate with other websites, irrespective of the programming languages in which they are created. It does not have any interface, only logic. So web services doesn't have any interface. We cannot directly interact with the web services. We can only use its functionalities, its functions, and we can use it in our website to communicate through the website. Web services request and responses are sent as an XML documents which are in the text format. To secure web services using encryption and message based security, and second one is using authentication and access controls for web services. Now we have some general terms like computer security. What is computer security? This is the generic name for the collection of tools designed to protect data and to thwart hackers. Second definition is for network security. What is network security? Network security provide measures to protect data during their transmission. When data is transmitted from one person to another or from one user to another, one system to another, then through the network, internet. So this provides some measures to protect the data during the transmission of the information or data. Third one is internet security. Measures to protect the data during their transmission over a collection of interconnected networks. So that is called the internet security. Now what is vulnerability, threat and attacks? So first of all, vulnerability. What is vulnerability? Vulnerability is a weakness in the system, in a security system, through which any loophole through which attack virus can come into the system. It can be in design, implementation, it can be in hardware or software. So any type of loopholes, any type of weakness that through which some threat, some attack, some virus, malicious, any harm can be provided to our system, it is called a vulnerability. Now what is a threat? Threat is a set of circumstances that has the potential to cause loss or harm. It is not the actual attack, but it has the potential to harm the system. It's a potential violation of the security. So it can harm our system. Threat can be accidental, like natural disasters or human error. Second one is malicious. Attackers in like frauds, virus, who can purposely infect any system. What is attack? Attack is the actual violation of the security. Means any harm, any malicious attack, virus enters into the system and corrupt the system. Now what is security attack? Any action that compromises the security of the information owned by an organization. Information security is about how to prevent attacks or failing that to detect attacks on the information based systems. Often threat and attack used to mean same thing and have a wide range of attacks. We can focus on generic type of attacks. We have two types of attacks, that is called passive attack and active attack, that we are going to discuss. So what are passive attacks? In passive attack, we have further two type of categories, that is release of message contents and traffic analysis. And in active attacks, we have further divided into four parts: masquerade, replay, modification of message contents, and denial of service. In passive threats or passive attacks, the data that is transferred from one person to another is not modified. The message which is transferred from person A to person B remains same. But the hacker can see the contents of the attack. Okay. And in active threats, when a data passes through A to B, the message can be or changed. Message changed to message 123. The content of the message is changed in active attacks. So first of all, passive attack. First, release of message content. The release of message content is easily understood. How can the content can be conveyed to the hacker? Through any telephone conversation, mail message, transferred file, may contain sensitive or confidential information. So that type of message content can be hacked by a hacker. Second type of passive attack is traffic analysis. The opponent could determine the location and the identity of communicating host. They can exchange, and could observe the frequency and length of the messages being exchanged. Through traffic analysis, the hacker observed the frequency and the length of the chatting or the messages which has been exchanged between two users. This information might be useful in guessing the nature of the communication that was taking place. That is a message sent from Bob to Alice, and that message is read by Dart. So the message is Dart read the contents of the message which are sent from Bob to Alice, but the message when transferred to Alice remains the same. Next is Bob sent a message to Alice and Dart observed the pattern of the messages which are sent by Bob to Alice. Only observed the pattern, but he is not changing the content of the messages. Now, active attacks. First is masquerade. A masquerade takes place when one entity pretends to be a different entity. For example, authentication sequences can be captured and replayed after a valid authentication sequence has taken place, thus enabling an authorized entity with few privileges to obtain extra privileges by impersonating an entity that has those privileges. Second one is replay. Replay involves the passive capture of a data unit and its subsequent retransmission to produce an unauthorized effect. That the message that is captured by the third user is transmitted with a different effect, different authorized access to that message. Third one is modification of messages. It means that some portion of the legitimate message is altered or that message is delayed or reordered and produced an unauthorized effect. And fourth one is the denial of service. It prevents or inhibits the normal use or management of communication facilities. Now, security services. What type of security services we used in to save from internet attacks? That is, first one is authentication. It assured that the communicating entity is the one claimed. Access control. that is the prevention of the unauthorized access of a resource. Data confidentiality, protection of data from unauthorized disclosure. Data integrity, ensuring the data is delivered to the intended recipient without any modification or alteration. Non-repudiation, protection against denial by one of the parties in a communication. It means that when a person cannot deny that a particular message is not sent by him when the other user says that this message is sent by you only. Now the benefits of ISMS. ISMS is a standard of international standard of organization which compatible with other standards prevailing in the market. It helps to protect and secure information in an organization because information is its virtual resource. Maintain the security of data and information. Protect and maintain integrity, confidentiality and availability of information. It provides efficient organizational management, encouraging clients including individual and other organization to invest in an organization. Overall, the benefit is to protect the information. Next is intrusion detection system. In this term, what is intruder? Intruder is a person who tries to gain unauthorized access. Intrusion means any unauthorized access is intrusion. When a person tries to enter in some place without any authority is called an intruder. Intrusion detection system is used for monitoring the network traffic for performance problems, illegal or malicious activities and attempts of unauthorized access. We have two types of intruders, that is outside intruder, masquerader and inside intruder, that is misfeasor. What is masquerader? User with no authority to access the network or system and try to penetrate the system as a legitimate user, that is called the masquerade. Second one is inside intruder, that is misfeasor. User with permission to access limited application. It is a legitimate user but misuses the privileges given to him. Next is information assurance. It defines and applies a collection of policies and standards, methodologies, services and mechanisms to maintain mission integrity with respect to people, process, technology, information and supporting infrastructure. Information assurance provides for confidentiality, integrity, availability, possession, utility, authenticity, non-repudiation, authorized use and privacy of information in all forms of and during all exchanges. What are the core principles of information assurance? These are confidentiality, that ensures the disclosure of information only, integrity, that ensures that information remains in its original form, information remains true to the creator's intention. Availability means information resource is ready for use with the stated operational parameters. Possession means information resource remains in the custody of authorized personnel. Authenticity means information resource is conforms to reality, it is not misrepresented as something it is not. That is the diagram for scope of information assurance in information and availability, integrity, non-repudiation, confidentiality and authentication. Three dimensions of information assurance models are information state, security services and security countermeasures. Information assurance versus information security. So both involve people, processes, techniques and technology. Information assurance and information security are the terms that we use interchangeably. Information security is focused on the confidentiality, integrity and availability of information. But information assurance has broader implications and explicitly includes reliability, access control and non-repudiation, as well as a strong emphasis on strategic risk management. ISO information security management standards are more closely aligned with the information assurance. Now, what is cyber security? It is the protection of information and information systems against the potential threats on the internet. Cyber security means securing the information related to the use of internet. Security on internet must involve information system. Specific measures to maintain cyber security are viruses and identity theft, protection of applications and individual privacy, and protection from online predators and cyber bullies, that is cyber harassment. These are the principles of cyber security that we have already read: data confidentiality, data integrity, authenticity, availability and non-repudiation. The tools and techniques that we used in cyber security are authentication, that is to verify the identity of user based on the credentials stored in the security domain of the system; encryption, that is encoding and coding of data with proper key; digital signatures, that is a mathematical technique used to validate the authenticity and integrity of a message, software or the digital document it is verified through the digital signature; antivirus, which prevents the installation of virus in the system and also scans the system for the viruses that had already installed in our system. Next one is firewall, that is hinder any attempt of unauthorized access to a computer or a network. Now question is, why cyber security is so much important? So governments, military, corporations, financial institutions, hospitals and other businesses collect, process and store a great deal of confidential information on computers and transmit data across the networks to other computers. With the growing volume and sophistication of cyber attacks, ongoing attention is required to protect that sensitive data as well as safeguard our national security. Now, what is cyber crime? It is a criminal activity done using computer and the internet. Anything that is used, any activity that is used through computers and internet, any criminal activity. It may be downloading movies, illegal movies, music files, stealing from bank accounts in which money has been involved, creating viruses and many more. It's all come in the cyber crime. These cyber crimes categorized into three broad areas, that is attacks against computer hardware and softwares, that is like viruses, malware, network intrusion; financial crimes such as online fraud and abusing in the form of grooming and exploitation. We have such types of cyber crimes like hacking, which uses a variety of software to enter a person's computer and access his personal or sensitive information; theft, in which person violates copyrights and download music, movies, games and software which is without a license; cyber stalking, it is a kind of online harassment through online messages and emails; identity theft, a criminal access data about a person's bank account, credit card or other details and buying things into the in the victim's name; malicious software, internet based software programs that are used to disrupt a network. We can categorize cyber crimes into three parts, that is individual, property and government. Individual can be in the form of cyber stalking, distributing pornography, trafficking and grooming. It can be the victim of hacking, theft, identity theft, and malicious software. Property, like criminals can steal and rob in real world, just like cyber criminals can steal a person's bank detail, misuse the credit card, run a scam to get innocent people to part with their hard earned money. How can they can also crime can do crime with government, like crimes against a government are referred to as cyber terrorism. It can wreak havoc and cause panic to civilians. Criminals can hack government website, military websites, or circulate propaganda. Now, security risk analysis. Risk. What is risk? A quantified measure of the likelihood of a threat being realized. Risk analysis, it involves the identification and assessment of the levels of risk calculated from values of assets, threats to the assets, their vulnerabilities, and likelihood of the exploitation. What is risk management? It involves the identification, selection, and adoption of security measures justified by the identified risks to assets and the reduction of these risks to acceptable levels. These are the goals of risk analysis. All assets have been identified, all threats have been identified, and all vulnerabilities have been identified. What can be the risk impact? Risk can impact in monetary loss, loss of personal privacy, loss of commercial confidentiality, legal actions, public embarrassment, and danger to the personal safety. There are particular steps in security risk analysis. That is, first of all, first step is identify and evaluate assets, to list all the things that could be affected by a security problem, not only monetary but also goodwill and customer satisfaction. Second step is identifying applicable threats. It involves the identification and description of threats, that how often they are likely to occur. Third step is identify, describe vulnerabilities. That is, level of risk is determined by analyzing the interrelationships of threats and vulnerabilities. Fourth is pair threats and vulnerabilities. Threat is any action with the potential to cause a negative impact. If there were no threats to computer system, there would be no need to be concerned about computer system vulnerabilities. Step 5 is to determine the impact of the threat occurrence. When the exploitation of vulnerability occurs, the asset suffers a loss. Losses can be of any type, like disclosure, destruction, and denial of services. Step 6 is in place countermeasures. It lists the countermeasures in any risk analysis process. Step 7 is determine residual risk. It refers to the level of risk that remains after giving credit for the in-place countermeasures. Step 8 is identify additional countermeasures, that is recommendations, to identify the most effective and least costly way to reduce risk to an acceptable level. Step 9 is to prepare a risk analysis report, to identify the information assets at risk and attach a value to the risk. After the analysis is complete, a report may be prepared for documenting the risk and assessment. So, that is the final step of risk analysis. That's all for today. Thank you so much.